A CustoMonster is
someone who takes advantage and tries to get something for nothing.
A disrespectful bully. Someone you cannot please no matter how hard you try.
pretty much an idiot.
Hi, I'm Jason Makinich with JTech, and the customers that we face sometimes that are sometimes a pain is we work really hard to adjust our schedules. Being that we're a computer support company, a lot of times people's emergency come up, and we adjust our schedule to help them. And when it comes time to pay, they want to barter or trade service after we just arrange our whole schedule, and we miss out on other opportunities. So that's an issue we face sometimes, and it can be kind of a pain. And I also have a story about a customer we had where we were going to replace their a part that had went bad on their computer, and it ended up being more expensive to do that than to replace a computer. And we advised them, because we always try to look out for our customers, that it's not even worth fixing. We went ahead and tried to look for it. We're not able to locate a part because it's such an older machine. And then they wanted to turn us into the Better Business Bureau, all because we weren't able to fix something that I told them originally that we couldn't fix anyway.
I'm Izzy Goodman of Complete Computer Services, ccs-digital.com online. I used to sell computer hardware, and I got out of it because I didn't have a life. The craziest story I ever had was a customer who bought a computer from me and didn't want me to install it because he was a pro and he could do it himself. He took it to his office, and he calls me up, this years ago. He says, both his floppy drives, these are the old 5 1/4-inch floppies, both his floppy drives aren't working. I said, that's not possible because I installed the software from it. So he said, no, this is what it is. And then he says, what do the 4 buttons on the top of the computer do? And I said, the top of the computer? He says, yeah, on the top. There's one in each corner, a round rubber button. I said, do you possibly have it upside down on the table and you're looking at the legs? People can't believe that story actually happened, but it did. I had a woman who bought a computer, and she called me up every day, starting off with, your garbage machine doesn't work. And each time I went to her house, and it was her problem. You would think after the 3rd or 4th time she would be more polite, but no, every single time. But the craziest one was when she had the power strip plugged into its own outlet and couldn't understand why the computer wasn't going on. And when I showed her that, I said to her, if you ever get it to work this way, let me know. We'll make a fortune selling free electricity.
CustoMonsters. Don't you love them? Well, all I've got to say is this is one of my pet peeves. Not CustoMonsters. Mm-hmm. But one of my pet peeves is whenever people call our office and they say, I've got an emergency. How many times have you heard me say, I've got, this lady has an emergency. No, it's not an emergency, but it's an emergency to them.
Yeah.
So what we do is we tell them what? We have an emergency fee, which is
$100.
$100. Mm-hmm. And what that does is it makes them start thinking, is this an emergency or not?
It's not an emergency, but I would really like if you came out there right now.
Yeah, I don't want to pay the emergency fee, but I'd like for you to come on out here as an emergency because I want you to put all your other customers off that you've already had lined up for several days now and may have the opportunity to lose them as customers. Yeah. But come take care of me, but I don't want to pay you for that emergency fee.
Well, and even when you tell somebody and you go, I have my guys out there working on a certain job for these people that have been waiting for 2 weeks or whatever has been, and it's like, they're like, well, so, it's like, okay, fine, then pay the $100, but then they don't want to pay the $100.
Can you tell this is one of my pet peeves?
Yeah.
And all I can say is stick to your guns. Mm-hmm. And whenever you tell them it's an emergency fee, now I'll say this, adding on to this and talking about it, if we've got a good customer and someone calls us and say they do have an emergency, but one of my technicians are close or I'm close to it, I'll go do it. I won't charge them $100. But when we have to realign our schedules, they're going to get charged $100. And they never like it, even though they agreed to it.
Yeah, and it's always usually something like minuscule, like, well, I'll never forget one time when somebody called about the irrigation. This is kind of like when I first started out, so probably wasn't the best thing to say, but I said it anyway, and I'm sure most people would want to say this, but the lady called, she used to call all the time, and she calls and she goes, my grass is dying, I don't know what to do. It's, and I finally just said, ma'am, do you have a hose?
You got a hose?
And she's like, well, I do, and I said, well,
pull it
there's
out.
Water in there. But she wanted us immediately to come out, and she called like 3 days straight, and I'm like, ma'am, everybody, we're in a dry spell with Florida.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
Dry season.
Yeah, and I said that, and I probably shouldn't have, but at the point, I just finally said, ma'am, if you don't want to pay the $100 fee, then get out there and use your hose.
That's right.
I mean, it just, it just comes to that point.
It's kind of like that guy we interviewed, and he says, "You're a liar."
You're a liar.
No
And that's
tact
how
when
I
you're
felt
that
back
age.
then, yeah. Well, and just like, the guy I was talking about earlier about the lady with the, plugging in both outlets and calling with the thing. I don't know what's wrong with my computer. I mean.
Well, have you got it upside, or those 4 buttons, maybe the legs? I don't know. It just goes to prove our saying around here. Once a custom monster, always a custom monster. If you're going to be a custom monster here, you're going to be a custom monster with the next person.
Right.
And you've got to learn that out there. You've got to be able to, we used to always talk about pre-qualification.
Right.
Pre-qualify those customers. Pre-qualify your old customers. And keep looking at them and going, am I going to make any money off this customer?
Right, right. And a lot of people, too, will say, I should have known in the beginning. Well, you can't always tell in the beginning. Sometimes it won't come out till later. But, if you have a gut feeling in the very beginning where you're going, I don't really think this customer is going to work out, you just need to fire them from the start. Or at least just say, my business is probably not going to work for you, or something to that extent.
Yeah, my services are not going to be what you need.
Right.
Or, I've literally told people before, hey, and sometimes a snide remark, I've literally told people, I just don't think you can afford what I can offer you as a service because you keep disagreeing with everything and you want everything for free. I don't work for free. I need to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Literally. And you don't have to be nasty about it or curse at them or anything else, but sometimes they need to be kind of put in their place.
Well, they need to know the truth, too. You know
Well,
what I mean?
absolutely.
So.
And it really makes you feel better at the end of the day.
Get out the hose.
This portion of our show is brought to you by KKLServices.com. KKL Services, offering research services in all areas. Whether you're a one-person small business or a Fortune 500 company, KKL Services can provide research in any area, fitting any budget and time frame. We've researched for top companies, entrepreneurs, New York Times best-selling authors, consultants, writers, and featured in scholarly publications. Whether you need research for a specific market, product, or theory, we have access to over 500 business, news, and academic databases for it. Whatever information you need, we can find it. What do you need to know?